Alright, welcome back everyone. Last video for the day. This one I'm going to do 3 articles. They're not that big of a deal, these 3 articles. Well, one of them is a big deal. Well, I don't know, they're kind of big deal, but 2 of them are really, really short, so whatever. First, we have this one from space.com. And again, all the links will be in the description. Scientists calculate when the universe will end. It's sooner than expected. Now, I could go over all this, but the big part is right here. It's just fascinating. So it's saying that the universe is going to end sooner than they originally predicted. Don't worry though, sooner still means a mind-bending 10 to the power of 78 years from now. That is a 1 followed by 78 zeros, which is unimaginably far into the future. However, in cosmic terms, this estimate is a dramatic advancement from the previous prediction of 10 to the power of 1,100 years made by Falke and his team in 2023. So that's all there is to this one. Just found that interesting. They having a pretty good prediction of when the universe will end. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. I know that there's probably some people out there that I don't know. There's a lot of crazy people. End of times. Jesus is coming. Blah 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 blah. And then we have this one. Trump says U.S. to set tariff rates for other nations in weeks. And we have this little speech by Trump.
Apple, as you know, is coming in. And I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming out with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. You can build in India if you want.
So I guess the tariffs aren't bringing manufacturing to America after all, because it's more expensive and harder than I think a lot of the supporters think it is.
To take care of India, because India is one of the highest tariff nations in the world. It's very hard to sell into India. And they've offered us a deal where basically they're willing to literally charge us no tariff. So we go from the highest tariff, you couldn't do business in India. We're not even a top 30 in India because the tariff is so high, to a point where they have actually told us, I assume you too, Scott, you were working on that also, that there will be no tariff, right? Would you say that's a difference? They're the highest, and now they're saying no tariff. But
okay, so that's his claim. President Donald Trump said he would set tariff rates for the U.S. Trading partners over the next 2 or 3 weeks, saying his administration lacks the capacity to negotiate deals with all of its trading partners. Trump said Friday that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick will be sending letters out, essentially telling people what they will be paying to do business in the United States. I think we are going to be very fair, but it's possible to meet the number of people that want to see us. The president said during a meeting with business executives in the United Arab Emirates, the U.S. President asserted there are over 150 countries that want to make a deal. He didn't say how many or which nations would receive letters. The countries that get them could appeal it, Trump added, without explaining how that process would work. The White House and Commerce Department didn't immediately respond to requests for comment overnight in the U.S. Trump announced higher tariffs on dozens of trading partners on April 2nd, but later paused them for 90 days amid investor panic to give foreign governments time to negotiate. Yet the president in recent weeks has moved away from the idea he would engage in a back and forth with every partner. While the Trump administration is prioritizing trade talks with more than a dozen countries, tariffs, we know about all this, border protection. Earlier this month, Trump said he would simply dictate tariff levels for many nations looking to avoid higher duties. Negotiations are still ongoing with several economies, including the Japan, South Korea, India, and European Union. Trump recently agreed to a trade framework with the UK and to a mutual temporary tariff reduction with China to buy more time for talks. Trump just stopped the tariffs on China. They didn't negotiate anything. The U.S. president said Thursday that New Delhi made an offer to drop tariffs on U.S. goods. This is the part that is interesting about this. We saw him talking about how he talked to India and they said blah, 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 blah. But a proposal that the Indian government did not confirm. So they're saying, we don't know what the fuck he's talking about. So, yeah, he just loves to make stuff up. He does it all the time. And his defenders will, no, he doesn't. No, yes, he does. This is the big one that I wanted to talk about. And this has to do with another video that not the one previous to this, the one before it. It's kind of in the same domain. Older people in crosshairs as government restarts Social Security garnishment on student loans. New York Associated Press, Christine Farrow has cut back on the presents she sends her grandchildren on their birthdays. And she's put off taking 2 cats and dogs for their shots. All her clothes come from thrift stores, and most of her vegetables come from her garden. Not all of us can have a garden. Some of us live in an apartment. At 73, she has cut her costs as much as she can to live on a tight budget. But it's about to get far tighter. As the Trump administration resumes collections on defaulted student loans, a surprising population has been caught in the crosshairs. Hundreds of thousands of older Americans whose decades-old debts now put them at risk of having their Social Security checks garnished. I worked ridiculous hours. I worked weekends and nights, but I could never pay it off, says Farrow, a retired child welfare worker in Santa Ynez, California. Like millions of debtors with federal student loans, Farrow had her payments and interest paused by the government 5 years ago when the pandemic thrust many into financial hardship. That grace period ended in 2023, and earlier this month, the Department of Education said it would restart involuntary collections by garnishing paychecks, tax refunds, and Social Security retirement and disability benefits. Farrow previously had her Social Security garnished and expects it to restart. Farrow's loans date back 40 years. She was a single mother when she got a bachelor's degree in developmental psychology, and when she discovered she couldn't earn enough to pay off her loans, she went back to school and got a master's degree. Her salary never caught up. Things only got worse. Around 2008, when she consolidated her loans, she was paying $1,000 a month, but years of missed payments and piled on interest meant she was barely putting a dent in a bill that had ballooned to $250,000. When she sought help to resolve her debt, she says the loan company had just one suggestion. They said, move to a cheaper state. I find this idea so ridiculous. Like, I mean, if you are financially struggling, moving to another state is not very realistic. That's actually very absent of class consciousness. Not everybody has the resources and the means and the ability to do such a thing. She rents a 400 square foot casita from a friend. I realized I was living in a different reality than they were. Student loan debt among older people has grown at a staggering rate, in part due to rising tuitions that have forced more people to borrow greater sums. People 60 and older hold an estimated $125 billion in student loans, according to the National Consumer Law Center, a six-fold increase from 20 years ago, which could all be done away with if we would just subsidize higher education like every other Western democracy does except us. Then we wouldn't have a $125 billion debt by students from getting loans. And a lot of those loans come from private organizations too, with very, very high interest rates. A lot of them probably already paid their loan back and then some. That has led Social Security beneficiaries who have had their payments garnished to balloon by 3,000%, from approximately 6,200 beneficiaries to 192,300 between 2001 and 2019, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, which no longer exists. This year, an estimated 452,000 people aged 62 and older had student loans in default and are likely to experience the Department of Education's renowned forced collections, according to the January report from the CFPB. Debbie McLantry, a 62-year-old adult education teacher in Georgetown, Kentucky, is among them. She dreams of retiring and writing more historical fiction and of boarding a plane for the first time since high school, but her husband has been out of work on disability for 2 decades, and they've used credit cards. You know what else would cut down on the amount of people on disability is if we had more regulatory laws on employers and what they can do to employees, like mandating more time off and better benefits, which they also, again, do in pretty much almost like a ton of other countries, but the United States. It would keep people from working themselves to the point where they get permanently physical damage, as well as subsidizing medical care. You do a lot of preventative treatment, and with subsidized time off, medical care, and whatnot, there'd be a lot less people needing to be on disability. They use credit cards to get by on his meager benefits and her paycheck. He's also really lucky that he got approved for disability. For a lot of people, disability is not something, it's like, oh, here's all these medical records, you're disabled, and boom, you get it. No, you have to have a judge review it. So somebody with a law degree has to decide whether or not you're disabled. It's a legal thing, not a medical thing, which again is different than other countries. In other countries, it's a medical thing, not a legal thing. You don't have to see a judge and get a lawyer. You see doctors, and they're the ones that declare you disabled, and you get your payments pretty immediately. Here in America, there are people in wheelchairs, like full-fledged disabled, who have to fight for disability for 10 years. There are people who fight for disability and keep getting denied to where they end up homeless because they don't have any friends or family or community that they can turn to. So they end up homeless. They end up losing everything. Their rent will be hiked by $300 when their lease renews. McClanter doesn't know what to do if her paycheck is garnished. Scary. She floats the idea of bankruptcy, but that won't automatically clear her loans. Student debt is one of those debts that doesn't go away when you do that, which are held to a different standard than other debts. She figures if she picks up extra jobs, babysitting or tutoring, she could put $50 towards her loans here and there, but she sees no real solution. I don't know what I can do, says McClanter, who is too afraid to check what her loan balance is. I'll never get out of this hole. And here in America, because of the way we do things, a lot of people die with this massive amount of debt, and it actually goes to our nation's deficit because we keep doing this to people because for some reason, people have been taught to be terrified of subsidization, of socialism, basically. Social democracy. You won't even entertain like a mixed economy of socialism, free market capitalism. I think most people just want to see socializing of basic needs. Braxton Brewington of the Debt Collective Debtors Union says it's striking how many older people dial into the organization's calls and attend its protests. Many of them, he says, should have had their debts canceled, but fell victim to a system riddled with flaws and illegalities and flukes, many whose educations have left them in late life debt have, in fact, paid back the principal on their loans, sometimes several times over, but still owe more money due to interest and fees. Yep, just like I was saying earlier, I'm not shocked by that. For those who are subject to garnishment, Brewington says the results can be devastating. We hear from people who skip meals. We know people who dilute their medication or cut their pills in half. People take drastic measures like pulling all of their savings out or dissolving their 401ks. Previous video, I was talking about that, 401ks, yeah. He says, we know folks that have been driven into homelessness. It's fantastic. Collections on defaulted loans may have restarted no matter who was president, though the Biden administration had sought to limit the amount of income that could be garnished. Federal law protects just $750 of Social Security benefits from garnishment, an amount that would put a debtor far below the poverty line. And what you get if you get disability is already below the poverty line. We are basically providing people with federal benefits with one hand and asking them away with another, says Sarah Settlemyer of the New American think tank. Linda Hilton, a 76-year-old retired office worker from Apache Junction, Arizona, went through garnishment before COVID and says she will survive it again, but flights to see her children, occasional meals at a restaurant, and other pleasures of retired life may disappear. And I would say that that's lucky. It's going to mean restrictions, says Hilton. There won't be any travel. There won't be any frills. I think that's a lot of people's future, actually. Some debtors have already received notice about collections. Many more are living in fear. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order calling for the Department of Education's dismantling, and for those seeking answers about their loans, mass layoffs have complicated getting calls answered. While Education Secretary Linda McMahon says restarting collections is a necessary step for debtors, both for the sake of their own financial health and no, it is not for the sake of the individual's financial self. It's not even the nation's. It can, but yeah, if they die and they don't pay it off, then yeah, it becomes the nation's problem. A lot of it is the person who lent the debt, the company. Even some of Trump's most fervent supporters are questioning the move that will make their lives harder. Randall Countryman, his name is Countryman. Okay, 55 of Bonita, California, says a Biden administration proposal to forgive some student debt didn't strike him as fair, but he's not sure Trump's approach is either. He supported Trump, but wishes the government made case-by-case decisions on debtors. There is no way the federal government can make case-by-case decisions on is it 4 billion people? That's not. They're not going to do that. Countryman thinks Americans don't realize how many older people are affected by policies on student loans, often thought to be the turf of the young, and how difficult it can be for them to repay. No, I think many Americans are aware of it. It's just, what do you want us to do about it? It seems like every time we want to do something progressive, the right wing always puts their foot in the door, and we can't get anywhere. What's a young person's problem today, he says, is an old person's problem tomorrow. Countryman started working on a degree while in prison, then continued it at the University of Phoenix, which is not a very highly accredited university at all. Do not get your degree from Phoenix University. Is it University of Phoenix? I bet that's different than Phoenix University. Phoenix University. No. When he was released, he started growing nervous as he racked up loan debt and never finished his degree. And see, higher education, especially community college higher education used to be paid for. It was a subsidized as long as you lived in the area and paid taxes for that in the area for the community college. We did away with that. But, many places, higher education is even subsidized. He's worked a host of different jobs, but finding work has often been complicated by his criminal record. I bet even with a degree, especially with a degree, that criminal record will fuck you. Even if you apply for jobs that don't require a degree, I can tell you that from my years in management, criminal records can fuck you. That's what I mean. It's like this black mark over your head. The redemption society doesn't redeem people. The prison system is not built for rehabilitation in any way, shape, or form. It's retribution and revenge. Once you get that criminal record, you have a black mark over your name. It can be hard to get a job. It can even be hard to get loans and housing. As soon as I see that criminal record, they're like, nope, you can't live here. Nope, we're not loaning to you. Nope, we're not hiring you. Even for things you would think a lot of people out there think, oh, I bet you could get a criminal, if you had a criminal record, you could get a job at working in the service industry like fast food. Nope, 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 nope. You can be denied employment for that there too. He lives off of his wife's Social Security check and the kindness of his mother-in-law. Very lucky of him, very fortunate. Not everyone has that. He doesn't know how they'd get by if the government demands repayment. Well, could give socialism a try. I'm telling you, if we did it, you'd see, you'd probably like it. The fear that it garnishes, I think, is unwarranted. I kind of wish I never went to school in the first place, he says. Well, we're always geniuses in retrospect, aren't we? This is just the same crappy video about 401. Put 401k money aside. Put 401k money aside, even if you're in strict poverty. Like, all this is so fucking gross. I hate this fresh hell that we're in. I'm not happy about it. Anyway. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you think in the comments. Ignore the right-wing trolls and stuff. Just let them be socially ostracized. I don't know what anyone has to gain from this, especially if you're working class. Just is there any follow-up thought here? No, I don't think so. I think I made it pretty clear. Not a whole lot of bright things, There's so much going on. Makes it easy to want to run to your friends and just vent to each other, yelling and screaming and cussing at the top of your lungs about how all this stuff that's going on has been just so fucked up. I'll tell you this: attacking marginalized communities, like the LGBTQIA plus community, attacking us, gay people, trans people, it's not gonna make your life better. Attacking people of color, it's not gonna make your life better. Tearing women's rights apart, like making it so they can't vote, making it so they can die giving birth. It's not going to make your life better. Nope. Yeah, for these, I mean, I've been thinking, what is it? It's not Arkansas. It's Alabama is privatizing their water, kind of like Flint, Michigan, and they're having the issue of having raw sewage in the water in a certain parts of Alabama. And I guess the free market thinking is to vote with your dollar and use the free market and go to a water company that isn't putting shit in your water that can give you all kinds of bacteria, fungal, and viral infections that will absolutely 100% kill you. And the thing is what other water company? And the thing is the infrastructure for the water that's coming through our pipes and into our faucets, out of our sinks and everything, was already there to begin with. We paid it with our infrastructure through subsidized, through tax dollars, through community. And so you're basically giving something over to a company that's just 100% pure profit. The only thing in their P&L report that would be a deficit to their bottom line would be the payment of their employees, which of course the board of directors is going to take the top-notch amount. And they can charge whatever they want. They can say, okay, let's charge $2,000 per gallon. $2,000 per gallon. And we're not gonna waste the money on filtering anymore. So you're gonna start drinking poop. You're gonna start drinking shit, just pure contaminated water. You know, E. coli, C. diff, what is that? Angina, like yeah, all kinds of issues. And what other water like your only option at that point would be to move to a different town or move out of state, which if price hikes are as high as $2,000 per 1 gallon of water that comes to your faucet or your bathtub or whatever, and the electric company does the same thing, and the gas company does the same thing, and the trash pickup does the same thing, and if you rent, the people who own your property do the same thing. You're not going to have any extra money to be able to move. And if you do move, I guarantee you the only states and places that will keep regulatory systems in place will be blue cities and blue states. Yep. Well, that's my cue. Yeah, so there would be nothing you could do. Just that's where I think that idea, that free market kind of idea of like no regulation, no limitations, just kind of falls apart. I pointed it out many, many times. You want to see a real example of anarcho-capitalism. Anarchy is inherently anti-capitalist, so no. Look at the street market. There's no regulations, none. And if somebody dies, that's good for business because that's the person who has the good shit. It's violent, it's dangerous, and surrounded with all kinds of crime and corruption because there's no regulation, and everything is profit incentive. Yay. We have made things, basic needs, basic necessities, incentivized by profit. And the worse it gets, the more people are going to become homeless. The more we fall into despotism, more people will die. Fantastic. Well, with that, out.